Hi, this is Jon Mitchell, Mayor of New Bedford, and this is another installment of the Mayor's Weekly Update. So I have three items this week for you. So the first has to do with what we are all experiencing, and that is drought. It's been dry here, it's been dry in a lot of other parts of the world, really, and dramatically so in some places. Here in New Bedford, we've been keeping an eye on our water supply. It is lower than it ordinarily would be this time of year, but it is at a manageable level. Nevertheless, and that's out at Quiticus Pond in Lakeville where we get our water. Nevertheless, we believe that certain voluntary restrictions should be put in place. We've already talked about the need for us to avoid watering lawns during the day and instead watering them at night. And then with less water, right? If you don't need as much at night because there's less evaporation going on at night. There are some other common sense restrictions that we are suggesting to people, strongly suggesting to people. Those include refraining from watering your car, not filling your pool back up if you have a pool, and otherwise just cutting back on the watering of plants and such, just keeping an eye on them, not overdoing it. And if we follow these common sense guidelines, I think we will be in good shape. That's the opinion of folks at DPI, which keep an eye on the water levels and manage the water supply. We're going to continue to keep a close eye on it. If there is a need for an updated approach, then we'll go ahead and take that on. The second thing I wanted to talk about today has to do with the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority, the MBTA. You may have seen this week reported that there will be on the ballot in November a question that asks whether New Bedford should become a so-called MBTA community. We have to do this. This is a formality that we have to satisfy in order for passenger rail service to resume here in New Bedford. The passenger rail link between New Bedford and Boston is a project that, as we all know, has been long in the making, and it is finally coming. It's scheduled to start in December of 2023, so that's just a year from this coming December, of course. It wouldn't surprise me if that date slipped, as it does with major state construction projects, but we have to assume that that's going to be on time. State law requires that for service to start, you have to be an MBTA community at least by the previous calendar year, and so of the start of service. So we are going to put it on the ballot. My strong recommendation is that we approve it. The reality is that according to the MBTA, it's not going to cost New Bedford anything. And that secondly, that there are significant benefits to having that passenger rail link. It may not be something that people are willing to do every day as a commute. That's why we don't, at least I don't refer to it as a commuter rail, but it is a rail service and a transportation service that could be useful to a lot of folks here and in Boston coming back down this way. So something, I will be talking about this more as it proceeds, but this is something that we should get behind. This is a project we wanted to see happen for a long time. The last thing I want to mention is that this week the New Bedford Port Authority selected a new port director. His name is Gordon Carr. He comes from the Massachusetts Port Authority in Boston. He's been there at a very senior level for a number of years, but he has spent a lot of time doing economic development consulting work, including here in New Bedford. He's very familiar with the fishing industry. He's very familiar with a number of things that we do here. So that knowledge, that background, will enable him to get off to a fast start. So we look forward to his starting here in the Port of New Bedford, which is enjoying a really important time. We're building an awful lot on the waterfront so that we can remain competitive in fishing and become competitive in offshore wind and other industries. That's where New Bedford's advantages lie, and that's where we're going to continue to invest and promote investment. So we look forward to Gordon starting at some point next month, and I think he's going to do a great job. With all that, this has been the Mayor's Weekly Update. We'll see you next week.